It all started on a Sunday afternoon. I was sitting on my couch, eating chips, and watching fitness videos on YouTube. You know those videos where people wake up at 5 a.m., drink green smoothies, and run 10 miles before breakfast? Yeah, those. I looked at my bag of chips and sighed. I could never be like them, I said to myself. That's when my phone buzzed. It was my best friend, Emma. She texted, "Hey, let's do something crazy. Gym challenge. 30 days. Every day. No excuses." I laughed out loud. "You're kidding, right?" But she wasn't. She sent me a selfie, already in her gym clothes, looking way too serious. "I'm starting today," she wrote. "You in?" I hesitated. I had never been a gym person. I liked comfort. I liked Netflix. I liked snacks. The gym. That sounded like torture. But something inside me wanted to change. I wanted to feel proud of myself again. So I texted back, "Fine. Let's do it." And just like that, the gym challenge began. The next morning, I woke up early, which was already a challenge. I put on my old sneakers and a t-shirt that said, "Maybe later." It felt ironic. When I arrived at the gym, the smell of metal and sweat hit me like a wall. People were everywhere, running, lifting, grunting. Everyone looked like they knew exactly what they were doing. I, on the other hand, had no clue. Emma waved at me from across the room. She was already on the treadmill, running like she was training for the Olympics. "Come on," she yelled. "Let's go." I climbed onto the treadmill next to her. I pressed a few buttons, trying to look confident. The machine started slowly, then faster, then faster. "Whoa, whoa, WHOA." I panicked. I pressed the stop button so hard that I almost broke it. Emma laughed so hard she nearly fell off her treadmill. "It's okay," she said between giggles. "We all start somewhere." I laughed too, mostly to hide my embarrassment. We decided to explore the gym together. There were machines for everything: legs, arms, abs, even one that looked like a torture device. Emma showed me how to use the weights. "It's not about being perfect," she said. "It's about showing up." I liked that. I wasn't perfect, but I was there. After an hour, I was sweating like crazy. My arms felt like noodles, my legs like jelly. I could barely walk to the locker room. "How do people do this every day?" I groaned. Emma grinned. "You'll see. It gets easier." That night, I collapsed onto my bed, every muscle screaming in protest. I thought about skipping the next day. Maybe this was a bad idea. But then I remembered why I said yes. I wanted to prove to myself that I could finish something. I wanted to change, even if it hurt. Before I fell asleep, I set an alarm for 6 a.m. The screen of my phone glowed in the dark. Day 1, completed. I smiled. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. And sometimes, that's all you need, a start. I didn't know it yet, but this small decision, made on a lazy Sunday, was about to change everything. Because the real challenge wasn't the gym. It wasn't the weights or the treadmill or the soreness. The real challenge was me, the lazy, comfortable version of me who always said, "Maybe later." And for the first time in a long time, I didn't say later. I said now. The next few days were harder than I ever imagined. On the second morning, my alarm rang at 6 a.m. and I couldn't move. My legs were on fire, My arms felt like they were made of stone, and I was pretty sure even my eyelashes hurt. I stared at the ceiling, thinking, no one will know if I skip one day. But then my phone buzzed again. It was Emma. "Ready," she texted with way too many exclamation marks. I groaned, threw off my blanket, and texted back, "Barely." Somehow, I made it to the gym. My body screamed at me with every step, but my mind whispered, "You promised." The second workout was even worse than the first. The weights felt heavier, the treadmill louder, and my reflection in the mirror looked like someone who regretted every life choice that led her there. Emma was full of energy, smiling and cheering. "Come on, one more set," she shouted. I wanted to throw a dumbbell at her, but I didn't have the strength. Still, I did one more rep, and then another, and then I was done. Day 2, barely survived. When I got home, I collapsed on the floor and stayed there for a good 10 minutes. I didn't even have the energy to take off my shoes. My cat walked by and looked at me like I was crazy. Maybe I was. By the end of the first week, I had discovered new levels of pain. My body hurt in places I didn't even know existed. Every time I sat down, I made a sound like an old door creaking. Walking upstairs felt like climbing a mountain. But there was something else too, a small, strange feeling that I couldn't quite name. It wasn't pride yet, but it was close. I was tired, sore, and cranky, but I hadn't quit. I was still showing up. And that counted for something. Emma and I started to find a rhythm. We met every morning at the same time, shared a few groans, laughed at our own misery, and then got to work. Some days, we barely talked. We were too busy surviving the workouts. But sometimes, between sets, we joked about how we'd both become fitness influencers and start selling protein shakes online. "We'll call it pain smoothies," I said once, and we laughed so hard the trainer gave us a weird look. Then came the first real test, Saturday. I wanted to sleep in so badly. It was raining outside, my bed was warm, and the idea of lifting weights felt like punishment. But Emma called me. Not texted, called. "Get up," she said. "No excuses." I could hear her walking already, rain or not. So I got up. That day, something changed. The rain made the gym feel quiet and calm. There weren't many people there, just us and the sound of soft music playing in the background. I ran slowly on the treadmill, watching the rain fall outside. My legs still hurt, but my breathing felt different, steadier, stronger. For the first time, I didn't feel like a total beginner. I wasn't good yet, but I wasn't afraid anymore. After the workout, Emma said, "You're getting better." I laughed. "You mean I didn't almost die today?" She smiled. "Exactly." And she was right. I still looked sweaty and exhausted, but I felt proud. That night, when I marked Day 7, completed in my phone, I realized something. I was starting to enjoy the pain. Not the physical kind, but the kind that comes with progress. The kind that says, you're doing something hard, and you're still here. The next morning, I didn't need my alarm. I woke up before it went off. My body was still sore, but my mind was awake. I wanted to go. I wanted to move. It felt strange, like I was turning into one of those fitness people I used to watch online. I smiled at the thought. Maybe this was how change really started, not with a big moment or a perfect plan, but with a quiet decision to keep going, even when it hurts. And so, as week 2 began, I tied my shoes, grabbed my water bottle, and whispered to myself, "Let's do this." Week 2 began with something I didn't expect: confidence. It wasn't big or loud, just a quiet feeling that maybe, just maybe, I could actually do this. My body still ached, but the pain started to feel familiar, almost friendly. When I walked into the gym that Monday morning, I didn't feel like a stranger anymore. I scanned my card at the front desk, nodded to the trainer, and smiled at Emma like a real athlete. "Who are we?" she joked. "I don't even recognize us anymore." We laughed and started our warm-up. That day, I lifted heavier weights than before, ran a little longer, and didn't complain as much. Emma noticed. "You're killing it," she said. And for the first time, I believed her. Each day, I felt stronger, not just in my muscles, but in my mind. I started to realize that discipline is like a muscle too. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Something else started to change too. My mornings felt different. Instead of dragging myself out of bed, I looked forward to that first sip of water, the sound of my sneakers hitting the treadmill, the rhythm of my breathing. It became my quiet time, my reset button before the day started. I still had bad days, of course. Some mornings I woke up and thought, "Why am I doing this?" But then I'd remember the promise I made to myself: 30 days, no excuses. That promise became my anchor. By the middle of week 2, people at the gym started to notice me. A trainer smiled and said, "You've been coming a lot lately." I felt a rush of pride. Me, the girl who used to fake a cough to skip PE? Now I was a regular. Even the treadmill I always used started to feel like mine. It was old, a little squeaky, but it was part of my story now. Then came Thursday. I was halfway through my workout when I felt something new. Not physical pain, but something deeper. My reflection in the mirror caught my eye. For a second, I didn't recognize the person staring back. She looked tired, yes, but focused. Her face was red, hair messy, but there was fire in her eyes. I realized I wasn't just working out to look different. I was doing this to feel different. I was proving to myself that I could keep a promise. And that hit me hard. That evening, Emma and I went for a smoothie after the gym. It had become our little ritual. We sat on a bench outside, talking about how crazy it was that we'd made it this far. "You know," Emma said, sipping her drink, "most people quit after the first week. We didn't." I grinned. "We're not most people." We clinked our cups like they were trophies. For the first time, I believed that maybe I could actually finish this challenge, and not just survive it, but enjoy it. But the universe must have heard me, because the very next day, everything got harder again. Friday morning, I woke up exhausted. My whole body felt heavy, like gravity had turned up a notch. I tried to get up, but my mind was foggy. The excitement was gone, replaced by doubt. "What's the point?" I thought. "It's just a gym." For a moment, I almost stayed in bed. But then I remembered that feeling in the mirror, that fire. I didn't want to lose it. So I got up, threw on my clothes, and went anyway. The workout was terrible. I was slow, unfocused, frustrated. Halfway through, I dropped a weight and it made a loud noise that made everyone stare. My face burned with embarrassment. I wanted to disappear. But instead, I picked the weight back up and kept going. It wasn't pretty, but I finished. That night, when I checked my phone, the calendar showed day 15, halfway. I stared at it for a long time. Halfway. 15 days of early mornings, sore muscles, and sweaty clothes. 15 days of not quitting. I realized something powerful. I didn't need motivation anymore. I had something better. Momentum. I was in motion now, and I wasn't about to stop. The girl who almost gave up on day 2 was now halfway to victory. I smiled to myself and whispered, "Keep going. You're not done yet." The morning of day 16 felt like every other day at first. My alarm went off, I stretched, and I thought, "Let's go." But when I stood up, I felt a sharp pain shoot through my lower back. It wasn't the usual muscle soreness. This was different. I froze, afraid to move. "No, no, no," I whispered. I tried to bend a little, but the pain got worse. Panic hit me like a wave. What if I couldn't go to the gym? What if this ruined everything? I had come so far, and now my body was betraying me. I texted Emma right away, "I think I hurt my back." She replied almost instantly, "Stop. Don't push. Rest today." But resting felt like failure. I sat on my bed, staring at my gym bag, feeling useless. For the first time in 2 weeks, I didn't go to the gym. The guilt was worse than the pain. All day, I kept thinking about everyone else training, running, lifting, and me sitting still. That night, I looked at my phone and saw day 16, skipped. It hurt to see that word. Skipped. The next morning, the pain was still there, but a little better. I tried stretching, moving slowly, hoping it would magically disappear. It didn't. Emma came over after work with tea and snacks. "You're not losing," she said. "You're just resting. It's part of the process." I nodded, but I didn't believe her. I felt like all my progress was slipping away. I missed the feeling of walking into the gym, the sound of the machines, even the smell of sweat. I missed being proud of myself. On day 3 of my forced rest, I sat by the window watching people jog outside. I wanted to cry. "What if I can't finish?" I whispered. That's when Emma said something that stuck with me. The challenge isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up, even when you can't show up in the same way. She was right. Maybe I couldn't lift weights, but I could stretch, walk, breathe, recover. Maybe this was another kind of discipline, learning to rest without giving up. So that's what I did. I spent the next few days taking it slow. I walked around my block, did gentle yoga, and tried not to compare myself to who I was a week ago. It was hard. Every time I opened social media and saw fitness posts, I felt behind. But little by little, my body started to heal. By day 20, the pain had faded, and I could finally move freely again. That morning, when I stepped back into the gym, everything felt different. The air smelled the same, but it felt new, like I was starting over. Emma ran up to me with a big smile. "You're back," she said. I nodded. I missed this. I took it easy that day. Light weights, short run, no pressure. But something had changed inside me. Before, I was chasing progress. Now, I was grateful just to move. Every lift, every step, felt like a gift. I realized how fragile the journey could be, how one injury, one bad day, could knock everything down. But I also realized that quitting wasn't the same as pausing. Sometimes you need to pause to keep going. That night, as I marked day 20, back again in my phone, I smiled for real. The gap on my calendar no longer looked like a failure. It looked like proof that I'd kept going, even when it hurt. I was learning that strength wasn't just about muscles. It was about resilience, about falling and standing back up, about trusting the process even when it doesn't go as planned. The next few days, I felt stronger than ever, not just physically, but mentally. I was more careful, more patient, and more determined. Every morning, when I looked in the mirror, I saw someone who didn't quit when things got hard. And that made me proud. But deep down, I also knew that the hardest part was still ahead. Because the final stretch of the challenge wasn't about proving I could lift more or run faster. It was about proving I could finish what I started, no matter what. The last day of the challenge came faster than I expected. It was day 30, and I woke up before my alarm, feeling both excited and nervous. The sky outside was still dark, and everything felt quiet, like the world was holding its breath. I put on my gym clothes, the same old sneakers, the same maybe later t-shirt, but this time it didn't feel ironic. It felt like a reminder of how far I had come. When I walked into the gym, Emma was already there, smiling from ear to ear. "Day 30, she said softly, almost like she couldn't believe it. "We actually did it." I looked around the gym, the treadmills, the weights, the people I'd seen every morning for a month, and it hit me. This place that once terrified me had become my second home. We started our workout, not too hard, not too easy, just enough to feel alive. Every rep, every step, felt like a memory flashing before my eyes. The first awkward treadmill run, the days I wanted to quit, the pain in my back, the laughter, the small victories. I realized this wasn't just about 30 days in a gym. It was about 30 days of showing up for myself. I wasn't the same person who started this challenge. That girl had doubted herself, made excuses, and waited for motivation. This one didn't wait, she acted. She tried. She kept going even when no one was watching. When the timer beeped, signaling the end of the session, Emma threw her arms around me. "You did it!" she shouted. I laughed, breathless, my heart pounding, my shirt soaked in sweat. I wanted to cry, not because I was tired, but because I was proud. We took a selfie together, our faces red and happy, and posted it with the caption, 30 days. 0 excuses. People started commenting, "You're inspiring. How did you do it?" But the truth was simple. We didn't quit. That was it. Afterward, I stayed behind for a few minutes, sitting quietly on a bench, watching the sunlight spill through the gym windows. I thought about all the mornings I didn't want to come, all the times I felt weak, all the times I thought I couldn't do it. But here I was, stronger, calmer, more confident. I realized something important. The challenge wasn't really about the gym. It was about proving to myself that I could change if I wanted to, that I was capable of more than I thought. When I left the gym that morning, I didn't feel like it was the end of something. It felt like the beginning. I didn't need a new challenge, or a new goal, or a perfect plan. I just needed to keep going, one day at a time. Because the real victory wasn't the 30 days I finished. It was the person I became along the way.